I've been researching some video doorbells, looking into replacing our regular doorbell with a wired video doorbell. So when I was watching a couple of installation videos on YouTube, I was surprised to learn that it's not as simple as just wiring up your new doorbell here, that there were other issues that probably need to be changed. So this video doorbell, or this regular doorbell that I have, is more than 20 years old. And so watching the other videos, they talked about finding your transformer and changing that out. So that was something I've never done before, so I started to research, and basically it seems to me that these older, just standard doorbells are 16 volt for both the doorbell and the chime inside the house that makes noise, whereas the video doorbells require more power, so they upgrade to a 24 volt transformer. And what you would also need to upgrade your chime to a 24 volt, or they'll kind of wear each other out if they're not matched correctly. So after doing some research, I picked out a new transformer and a new indoor chime. And so before I even get to the point of purchasing a video doorbell, I'm going to begin by changing out that transformer and changing out that chime. So what we're going to start with is locating that transformer, testing to make sure we have the correct transformer before we go to changing it out, finding out how to turn the power off. And so you can kind of learn along with me, as if you're thinking like me of your first video doorbell, you may have to do this as well. So I hope you find it helpful. Let's get started. So the first step I wanted to take is to find out how to cut power to the doorbell for this work. So fortunately, in this cabinet, I found one that was labeled attic. And so I just came over to that number 10 and turned it off, and then experimented by seeing if the doorbell works, and it does not work. So I know that that is the correct breaker. So all you have to do, if your doorbell does work, that's the easiest way, is to just keep trying it until you find the breaker that makes the doorbell not work, and you know you have the right one. So now we know that this is the correct breaker. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go disconnect a wire from the transformer that I found in the attic that I think is the right one. And I'm going to go disconnect a wire from that transformer, and then I'll turn this power back on here, and then I'll see if the doorbell works again. And with the power on, if the doorbell does not work still, then I know I also have located the correct transformer. So I'm going to go try that now. Okay, so in our house, our doorbell chime is in this hallway right by the attic stairs. So I've located what I think is the right transformer up in the attic. We're going to go confirm that now. Okay, so with the power off, I undid this wire right here, and now the power's back on, and my wife's going to try the doorbell. Make sure that this is the right transformer for the doorbell. Our transformer is part of this electrical box. Okay, so she might, and then you turn the power back off?
I mean, I turned it on, then I rang the doorbell. You want me to go turn it back off now?
Okay, yeah, go ahead and turn it back off so I can put this wire back on. Thank you. Okay, so we've already confirmed that we have the right breaker and that we have the right transformer. So we have cut power at the breaker. So now I'm gonna take this chime off. Okay, so that cover comes off. I've got a couple of power leads, and also a screw to the wall right there, and one right there that needs to come off. So I did cut the power. So all I have to do is unscrew those screws. Okay, so we just took a little plastic scraper so we wouldn't damage the wall and just scraped around the edges where paint over the years has built up on the edge to make it smooth. And then where the holes were at from the screws, we went ahead and just put a little bit of wall putty in the screw holes. And we're just gonna give that about a half hour to dry. Okay, so we're getting ready to change out the transformer and the chime for our doorbell in preparation for purchasing a video doorbell. So doing some research, we bought a 24 volt 40 VA transformer. I'm gonna put links to all this in the description. I got all this from Amazon. So this is our new transformer. Okay, so this is our new transformer. This little object is pretty heavy. It's got 3 wires coming out the back. We got a white, a black, and a green, which is our ground wire. So we'll be putting that in, and those are our 2 terminal ports for our red and white wires that are going to go to our chime and our doorbell. So this is a transformer. So there's that. And then our new chime that we're buying, because we figured our old chimes should be 16 volt in our old transformer. So when you change the transformer, you really should get a new chime that also is designed to run on the 16 volts. So I picked this one out. Pretty basic. Again, I'll put links in the description to all this. So this is the chime. Okay, so this chime, we need to take it apart. So we just kind of lift out on this cover and it pops right out. So there's your cover. Here's the 2 screws that'll hold it to the wall. One of the reasons I think these don't come with the little plastic anchors is probably just because they're so light. So even if it's not going into a wall stud, which it probably won't be, and it's just going into your sheetrock, these are probably okay without the anchors because of how light these chimes are. So your holes are gonna be a hole there for a screw and a hole there for a screw. And it tells you probably won't be able to pick this up on video, but it says top and it points up. So that lets us know that we're gonna mount it in that orientation to the wall. So we're gonna set that aside. So right now what we're gonna do is turn the power off at the breaker and we'll change out our transformer. So these are the 2 items you need: the transformer and the chime. So now I'm going to show you 2 items I bought because I want to use them, but these are not absolutely necessary for this job. So one of them are these Wago wire connectors. These are a substitute for wire nuts, and I'll put links to all these things in the description. So when we're connecting wires up in the attic for the transformer, and when we are connecting wires for our chime, we use these Wagos are a substitute where, say if you have 2 wires you want to connect, you would just pop these 2 doors open and you would put 1 wire in one side and close it, and put 1 wire in the other side and close it, and that's how clean they are. You don't have to worry about using wire nuts or having them fall out of a wire nut. So that's what these Wagos are if you decide you want to use them. So I got this little assortment. And it even has some of these newer ones where they're inline connectors. If you don't want them beside each other, you want one going this way and one going this way, that's what these are for. So I'll put links to all that in the description. Also, you don't have to have this, but I just went ahead and got a fairly inexpensive but reliable voltmeter just so I could test the existing the existing volts coming out and also compare it to the new one. And I paid a little bit more to get the Fluke brand, and also the reason that I like the Fluke brands is that if you're not familiar with, you know, electricity and you don't work with it a lot, there's a lot of settings on some of the voltmeters that can be sort of intimidating. And what Fluke does is basically, instead of having 100 settings around a dial, you're just selecting, do I have AC voltage? Do I have DC voltage? You know, am I checking for resistance, continuity? So there's just a lot less settings. So we have AC power. So when we test ours, we're gonna test our existing transformer just to see what it's putting out. Should be somewhere around 16 volts. So we'll put it to that AC voltage, and then we'll take our red and black leads, we'll plug them into the bottom, and we'll touch these two leads on our transformer up there and see what we get. And then when the job is done, we'll do the same thing, just for a comparison. So you do not need to purchase this. It was in the $40 some range, but again, it's just something I wanted in my toolbox and wanted to use it for this. I want to get better at using tools like that, so that's why I bought it. But that's completely optional for this job. So I just want to point out that when I took the battery cover off of this to put batteries in, I found out it came with 2 Duracell batteries already installed, so that was awesome. And then these leads have plastic protective clips on them, but I'll be taking those off to use them so I don't lose them up in my attic. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my voltmeter on to volt AC, and then I'm gonna take my red and my black, and this is our existing transformer, so I'm gonna touch the black up here. I'm gonna touch the red right there, and I get a reading of 9.58 volts. So this is probably a 16 volt transformer, and it's putting out a little bit more than that. So that gives us a baseline that we're getting just under 20 volts. So we'll compare that to what we get after we change our transformer out. So our next step is going to be to cut power off up here so that we can put our new transformer where that transformer is. So we're going to cut the power off at the breaker panel. All right, so it's summer in Louisiana, and even though it's the end of September, it's probably 100 degrees up here in the attic easily. So we're gonna try to do this quick because it shuts the air off and everything. So we're gonna undo, we got the power off. We are going to remove this transformer by loosening our wires. Okay, so I got my white and red wires removed from our transformer. I don't have a good place to stand. I'll be on these little boards up here in the attic, so I need to watch out. So I'm gonna have to take this cover off of the metal box here. So there's 2 screws in here, and they just need loosened. I don't think they need removed because this cover is kind of made to slide. Yeah. Okay. So these covers, you loosen the screw up here and here, you angle that one out, and then you move that to the head of the screw, and it pops out like that. All right, so what you got inside here, let me take the camera for a second, see if I can get a picture of this. It's a kind of a bunch of wires in there, okay? So that's what we're going to be dealing with. You can tell that the transformer has wires coming through, so we're going to be redoing some of that. So we'll kind of video the best we can. The videos, we can't really stand on the other side the way that the attic is made. I need to figure out how to get my transformer off. Okay, it looks like it's held on with like a little nut. And it doesn't seem to be super tight, so maybe I can get a hold of it. Yeah, I'm not even needing to use a tool. So without a tool, I'm able to unscrew a nut where the transformer goes into this box. I'll loosen the nut by hand. Now it's just loose inside the box and it allows me to take this through this way. And then so what I'll do is, I got on this one, this old one, it's got 2 reds and a green. So that's a little confusing because on my new one I got a black, a white, and a green. So it's odd that this one has 2 reds. So I'm gonna see what they're hooked up to. So the green, I can tell where it's going into a ground. One of the reds is in with black wires, so that's where we'll put our black. And one of the reds is in with a couple of cream colored wires, so that's where we'll put our white. So let me see if I can kind of get this now that I got them kind of pulled out, make it a little more simple. Doing the best we can with the video in these circumstances. So you can tell where the green wire goes in right here. So it will substitute our new green wire for that. You can tell where this one red wire goes in with a couple of black wires. That's where we're going to put our black wire. This other red goes in with a couple of these. They're probably supposed to be white. Now they're so old, they're kind of cream colored. So that's where we're going to put our wires. White is going to go there for us. Black's going to go there and green's going to go there. So I'm going to do that right now. So first thing I got to do, better not be a spider that I'm feeling on my leg. I'm going to take these wire nuts off and probably consider replacing them with these Wagos. I'll give them a shot anyway. Okay, so when I pull these out, this nut is what was holding that in, so I need to have that handy for the new one. I'll put my 3 wire nuts aside in case I end up reusing them. So now I'm gonna get my Wagos. All 3 of these have 3 sets of wires. So I have Wagos that are made for 3 wires, these right here. So I'm gonna use 3 of these. And the way they work is, instead of trying to get them all to stay in a wire nut, I'm basically going to pop all these open. And before I even put my transformer in there, I'm going to go ahead and like take these 2 black ones that you can see. I'll try to get you a video of one of them. We'll put the 2 black ones in this one. I'll close that. Put that black one in there and close that. Now our new black one that from our transformer will just go in that open spot there. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the white wires. Go white wire there, close the door. White wire there, close the door. It's ready for our new one. These ground wires. Okay. Open up our 3 doors here. If you don't want to use these, you're welcome to use regular wire nuts. I just kind of like these things. Put that one in. That one in. These are our grounds. Just waiting on our green. So now we have our 3 wires waiting. Here is our new transformer. Wires come already stripped, very nice. So this, we'll go ahead and use our new wire nut. So I'm gonna unscrew it, carry it through my wires. Put the wires through here. And then what I'll do is I'll grab this. I'll bring them through. Put my threads through there. Take my wire nut. Start tightening. Okay. Okay. That holds it in there. So now look, 3 wires. Where do they go? Black to black. Close that. White to white. Close that. Green to ground. Close that. That's done. So now I just kind of start tucking these wires back in this box like that. Grab my cover plate. Figure out how to finagle this on. Grab my screwdriver. Tighten these up. Boy, when it's 100 and some degrees up here, it really motivates you to not waste any time, I'll tell you. Okay, it looks like we have room there for our red and white wires to go. Okay, that's kind of a tight fit. Normally I would loop it the other way, but I had to loop it opposite of the way I turned the screwdriver because I couldn't get it to fit the other way. Okay, my white wire, squeeze down in there, hold it. All right, so now before I let my wife leave this attic and go turn the power back on at the breaker in just a minute, and we will test this voltage before I climb out of here. You want to snug these down. It's where they're not gonna let go. Okay, so we have done everything. So my wife's gonna go turn the breaker on and I will test the voltage. Okay, so I'm trying to get you a volt reading off of this. 27 volts. So off of our former transformer, which is probably a 16 volt, we were getting a 19 point something volts. This one, which is a 24 volt transformer, we are getting 27 volts. So that's gonna be what we need to support our video doorbell. So this is a success. Now we're gonna go install the chime. Okay, so we have these wires. The power is off again. We have the power off at the breaker. We have 2 red wires coming out And then these two white wires were tangled into each other. Okay, so we got the white wires, we got some white electrical tape. I just don't like them to be exposed like that. So we got those covered. So now on our Chime, it's got this hole right here where we can feed the wires through, right here. So we basically take all these wires and just feed them through there, like that. I'll end up making sure it's level, but I really don't need to do that until I put my first screw in. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pick this for my top screw here, and then I can make it easy to go in. Put this one in. I'm gonna put it in, but not snug it down yet. Then I want to take my drill. I got this little level here. And set it on the plastic on top. Okay. Tighten these right up to where they just barely touch, and then I'm gonna check my level one more time. Okay, so that's up there. So now I'll take my two red wires. From what I've seen, I don't believe this matters which ones these go into, as long as they don't go in the same one. Okay, this says front, trans, and rear. So we're gonna go with, I think that's front door and back door or whatever. So we're gonna use one of them in the middle and one of them on the right. I believe what that means is if you ever added a rear doorbell, there's the third one for like a second doorbell. So we're gonna go with the one on the right. And then what will happen when we get our video doorbell, we will have something that installs in this area that has two wires, and it will go on these same ones that we're doing right now. So in other words, what we'll do when we get our video doorbell is we'll loosen these two that I'm doing now, and we'll add another wire in each of them, and we'll tighten these back down. And that'll be the extent of the install for this. So I feel like we're kind of doing the hard part now before we even buy the video doorbell. So this is just gonna stay out of the way. So that's that. Now we just grab our cover. Don't believe this has an orientation. So it should just pop on. Just like that. So that's done. The chime is done. So we'll turn the power back on and we'll see what it sounds like. Our power's back on. We're gonna try the doorbell. All right, works well. So now the transformer and the chime have both been switched out to a 24 volt. So now we're ready to add a video doorbell.